You're tuned into the Kaufman Corner podcast with you, as always, David Lesky, inside the crown. Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. Overreacting to the first series of the year. It's what we do, people. You know, the good is incredibly great. The bad is awful. The ugly is the ugliest we've ever seen. It's what we do. We're going to talk about Carlos Estevez imploding from the closer's role. Michael Wacha looking very strong. So did Seth Lugo. What can we expect from Chris Bubic, Noah Cameron when they get their starts? Do we overestimate the offense, or is it just early? Carter Jensen's already gone deep. That's certainly a good thing. And have we seen the new City Connects have been leaked out? And if what I'm seeing, or I'm not liking it, I don't know what David thinks, but we'll get into it right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Off and running here on our first Kaufman Corner in season of the 2026 season. Certainly excited to have that part of the equation off and running. David, let's talk a little bit about what I think was the biggest occurrence. I think the most people are talking about, because we were talking about it beforehand. Carlos Estevez did not have velocity. Not only did he not have velocity, he was right in the middle of the plate. I mean, it was BP. It was easy BP. Yes, they will salvage the third game. We'll get to that. There are some positives. There are positives even from that second game. Not a lot of positives in the first game. But in the second game, there were even positives. But, you know, to see Carlos Estevez continue, it wasn't like it was, he's just working on some things or he's building up. It was time to go, and he couldn't go.
Yeah, he was bad, and he was exactly what we thought he would be. And, you know, it's funny. We talked about this. I can't remember if it might have been on with Lebo the other day when you were out, but it might have been on this podcast. I can't remember. I wanted to see what would happen if the Royals were up by 2 in the ninth inning and the Braves 2-3-4 was coming up. Royals were up by 2 in the ninth inning, and the Braves 2-3-4 was coming up, and here he comes, and it was brutal. I mean, the first at bat, he couldn't get his fastball in the zone, which is probably a good thing because a walk against that fastball is better than, well, we saw what would happen. Then he gave a hit, and then Austin Riley bailed him out. He hung a slider, and Riley popped it up. To me, at that point, you got to pull him, and I think this is one of the few times that I've seen what Mac Potrero did as a manager and thought, you made a mistake. And I don't understand the rationale at all. Like, I don't always agree, but I understand the rationale. I don't know how you throw Carlos. I don't know how you throw him in that spot, seeing what he did this spring and not have somebody ready behind him the second he can't get his fastball in the zone against the first batter. And so he pitched to another batter and then another batter. I mean, I think it was a huge managerial mistake. I'm not taking the blame away from Carlos Estevez. Like he was bad, right? But I don't think he should. I understand why you put him out there for the ninth to start it. I at least see the rationale of, okay, we saw this guy take a while to build up. Not like that. It wasn't like this last year. He was building up, but it wasn't this bad. But he led the league in saves. He finished really strong. I get the rationale. I don't get not pulling him.
When did you want to pull him?
After I wanted to pull him after Riley.
I mean, that's what it looks like, right? Like I was sitting there. We did our fantasy baseball drafts, our auctions in Arizona, and so I was out there and we were watching the game last night. So there's a bunch of baseball nerds all sitting around, a handful of us from Kansas City, but then other guys from other towns that also cover different teams and everything. And we were talking about it, and the reaction from the out of town, the action of my friends that are just, casual fans was like, get him out, get him out, get him out, get him out. A couple of us are like, listen, this is what his saves look like. There's always somebody on base. Like, it's very rarely 1, 2, 3. And
Sure.
and there are times that it's second and third with one out and he gets a pop-up or and listen, do I think he was probably a little bit fortuitous last year? Yeah. Like, his raw stuff did not say he should have led the league in saves. And so he probably, number one, he has great defense behind him most of the time. And so that helps. But he theoretically has great defense behind him this year. And so I get it. Like, once you set sail with him, like, to me, if there was a mistake by Matt Quatraro and the Royals organization, it was not DLing him before the season started. Right?
Agreed.
You're not healthy. Like, you're not at your velocity. You're not healthy. We're going to call it shoulder fatigue. We're going to call it elbow fatigue. We're going to call whatever you want to do it. But once he breaks with the team, then he's the guy. You're paying him $11 million. And so, like, to me, there was not a spot. I hear what you're saying, and I think you found the right spot on when you would get him out of there, if you were going to get him out of there. But I feel like once you set sail with a veteran who, like I said, and I know some people said, $11 million or $11 million and led the league in saves and all this. I don't want to hear about that. It's about winning games. Yeah, but there is a hierarchy of how baseball works.
Sure.
There is, you don't go take a veteran and knock him down in the clubhouse. You just don't do it. And so when you break with him, you're going to use him, and you're going to use him in that role until his performance says he can't be in that role. And so I get it. I get why they stayed with him, and they basically sacrificed a game. I mean, they donated a game to defer to the veteran. But I think there are big dividends that pays over the chemistry of the clubhouse. To me, the thing becomes now, David, like, okay, so that we can sit here all day and be like, this batter, that batter, get him out.
It's over, yeah.
The question becomes, at this point, all right, so now you've now seen it. It's real. It's not just him getting ready. He's got problems. He's not the same guy. So now, how long are we going to go with him? How many more times are you going to go with him? And what is the time to pull him? And then what are our options if we do decide to take him out of there? That, to me, is what Matt Quatraro and that staff really should have already been talking about before this started. But now they've had the first, like, okay, it's not good with him. So we've already planned on this. He gets one more, two more.
It sounds like no.
I mean, like, what's the answer on that?
What did he say? I'm trying. Ann Rogers had it.
Yep.
Of course she did. What did it? I'm trying to find it right now. He was in a boot this morning and said Quatraro would be surprised if he was available today. If a guy comes walking into the clubhouse in a boot for a game 3 hours from now, I think you can go ahead and say he's not available. We don't need the gamesmanship, but he said if he were, Quatraro said, quote, we would not be averse to putting him in a lower leverage situation. Quatraro continued on whether he would turn to Estevez in the 9th. I'm not going to say he wouldn't do it, but I also think would be probably smarter for us to try to build him a little bit in lower leverage first. So it sounds like he's already out, which, okay, great. And I will say, if that ball had gotten through from Michael Harris, if that ball had gotten through that Estevez kicked, that put him in the boot, if it had gotten through to shortstop, it's probably a game-ending double play. And we probably see him in the next save situation. We probably would have seen him today. And would he have blown today? I don't know. Urseg didn't. I'll tell you that. We know that Urseg didn't. It might not be the worst thing in the long run that he got absolutely torched and didn't get a save by the skin of his teeth. That might be better for the team for 162 than him pulling out a save in game 2. But yeah, it sounds like he's going to be in lower leverage, and that's if he doesn't hit the IL. I mean, you're in a walking boot. I know they said that it wasn't broken, but this is if I'm the Royals, I'm going, this is my chance. We're not faking an injury. You got hit in the foot. There's no Billy Epler situation that can happen here where I can get suspended if I'm JJ Piccolo. Like,
right.
Give him 15 days and then give him a 2-week rehab. And all of a sudden you give him a month to get his velocity back to 96, 97. Because I think if he's throwing 96, I trust him again. I do. It's the 90, 91. I mean, His hardest fastball was 92.3. He threw it twice. Once was on the game-ending grand slam, and the other I can't remember which at bat it was, but it was maybe the one before it. Either way, it's he threw 92.3 twice in that inning, and it was the ball that Michael Harris hit that hit him in the foot. So look, I think if he can get his velocity back up, great, let him get there. But it's put him on the IL, just do it. He's got a foot injury now.
Yeah. Matt said he wasn't hitting 90. Well, barely 90, and that's fair. That's absolutely correct. Yeah. But it wasn't even that. I mean, it was just fat straight in the middle.
Or it was nowhere near the zone. Like there was just no decision to be made by the hitter. Yeah.
The base hits were lucky that they weren't home runs. I mean, like they were fat pitches, and that's the scary part to me. And so, you had this problem beforehand. So this is not like, well, wow, it's just one outing. It's not. It's been all of spring training. So I'm with you. They need to act quicker. This is not like we're gonna make our way through March and in 2 weeks into April.
It sounds like they are. It's to their credit. It sounds like they have moved already.
Agreed. And
great.
And that he's put the skids, but he's also using the injury somewhat as a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I like the idea, the mystery injury, the dead arm, the foot. He's got whatever it is with the foot. He needs time. Then let him go work his velocity back up. What are their options? Where do they turn in safe situations if he's not the guy now?
I mean, it's got to be Urseg, right? We saw it today. I think that it'll be a little bit closer by committee, would be my guess. I think Urseg and Strom are probably the two guys who get the most looks. We saw how it played out when they were both available, though. Strom came in the seventh when there was a runner on second and one out, and he finished that seventh inning, and Urseg pitched the ninth. So I think if there was really going to be a division of duties, I think Urseg's probably the guy you'd rather have there in that spot. I guess I can't remember who was coming up, so maybe it made sense for Strom lefty wise, but so maybe it was a matchup thing. I think Urseg is the guy. I would not be terribly surprised if somebody else emerges. I mean, you remember our bold predictions? I said that Estevez doesn't lead the team. Yeah. Urseg doesn't lead the team. Avila leads the team. Not today, because he started on Saturday, yesterday, I guess, through 3 innings, whatever. But I mean, there are other options, but I think it's going to be Urseg and Strom for now.
Yeah, I think I will reiterate something we said, earlier, that I believe that if this is the direction, if you pull the plug on this, then what has to happen is I don't think you have a fireman option.
Agreed.
Right? I think you have to start assigning roles and say, we've got an 8th and a 9th inning guys. I'm going to mix and match based upon the repertoire of the pitchers I have and the hitters they're facing. But no longer is there a guy I'm going to deploy for the 2, 3, 4 of the lineup in the 6th or 7th or 8th when I think it's the key time. And then I've got to fall back on a closer. You don't have that. The 9th inning is different. And when you had a guy who had been a veteran and had the experience in that 9th inning, okay, that's fine. Then, you can go down that road. But now, if you're coming out of that spot, no more like that.
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't think, I don't want to see, unless it's Strom, I guess. But if it's Strom and you decide that the fireman role is in the 7th, who's the 8th?
Right. I mean, and it's
who would you put? I'll ask you. Who would you put?
I don't know. That's the problem. I mean, part of it is that we don't know.
I think they would put Schreiber unless they already have some of the confidence in Mears. But I think that's the guy they've been in the fight with before.
He's always been the guy they've elevated to that spot when they needed to. I mean, I think back to 2024. You remember, this has happened before too. Will Smith was the closer to start the 24 season. Cotrero had somebody warming up behind him. I believe it was the 6th game of the year in Baltimore. He already had somebody warming up behind the quote unquote proven closer in the 6th game of the year. And it was James MacArthur. And I don't remember exactly. I can't remember now if MacArthur had to come in and close it out or if Smith did, but James MacArthur took over as closer, and that worked well for, a month and a half, whatever. But he's done this before very quickly and made this move. And you're right. When that happened, Schreiber got elevated to that 8th inning role. He was, I think, a better pitcher 2 years ago. He's aged, things have happened. I think somebody has got to take that role. we haven't talked much about Daniel Lynch. He was throwing 96, 97 in Arizona. If he's doing that, I don't trust him yet. He's got to prove it, but he's a different pitcher. I mean, it's the same thing with the velocity is velocity. When you throw harder, you have more margin for error. If he's going to be 96, 97, okay, maybe he can earn that role. Maybe Mears earns that role. I don't know. I don't know if he will. Maybe Alex Lang. He looked really good on Friday night. It's one outing, but he's done it before too. So maybe he's the guy. They've got options. It's so tough at the beginning of the year, and teams always talk about this. They sort their bullpens out in the first month of the season, and by May they've figured out what's going to work because relievers are so volatile. So they don't know, and we don't really know yet who's going to step up and who's going to step back and all that. So, I mean, look, I don't think I will bet right now that Saturday is not the only game we look at in the first 2-3 weeks of the season. We go, oh, they should have won that game. I think they're going to lose a game they should have won because they're still trying to figure out who pitches where.
Yeah, we haven't seen Nick Mears yet. We've seen Alex Lang throw a clean inning. We've seen Strom throw 1 2/3 clean. Lucas Urseg 2 clean. That's maybe Alex Lang gets into that mix. Maybe Nick Mears does. But I like what you said that hey, it's going to sort itself out. They're going to take the time to sort it out, and that's just everyone needs to not hit the panic button right now because there are at least options that are there. And as we've said, we like some of the options that are down in the minor leagues as well. So we'll see where they end up turning with this. We'll also see about the Royals starting pitching. It's been quite impressive, at least in some moments. Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo. We'll talk about that next after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots.
Green Light Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-thru and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Green Light difference. Visit us today.
Now at Whataburger, you can get the new Big Ranch Wrap for $3, 5 premium Whata chicken bites for $4, or a Bacon Cheese Whataburger Jr. for $5. Add fries and a drink for a little more. Now that's a Whata deal at Whataburger. Download the app.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Michael Wacha looking strong. Somebody had some fears about Michael Wacha. Let me tell you something. You may have been vocal. You put this on yourself when we were talking today about what we were going to discuss. You put this on yourself, but
I did.
I was terrified as well. I'm always nervous and worried about guys, and but he put all that to rest at least for one start.
My God, he was that. I'd have to look. And there's a couple of stats I can give you, but that was one of his best outings as a Royal. I mean, legitimately. I gotta find the number. I had it written down somewhere. I'm completely missing it. Okay, here it was. He had 17 swings and misses on 44 swings, which is a 38.6% whiff rate. That's tied for the highest he's had in a start. And the 17 whiffs were the third most. But the 2 who had more were 19 and 18, and they were both 93 pitch starts. This was an 80 pitch start. He was great. He wasn't just good. Like Seth Lugo, we'll get to him in a second. He was good. Michael Wacha was great. And my big fear with him, just being completely honest, is I don't know why I'd lie to you. Is the changeup. And because it didn't get the whiffs last year. It was down to like a 26-27% whiff rate. It was 44% on Saturday night, last night. Now it's 9 swings. If he goes out his next start and he gets 4 swings that aren't on the changeup and no whiffs, it gets down to last year. So small sample, all that stuff is obvious right now. But the changeup was great. And I will also say his last outing in Texas, he had a nasty changeup. If the changeup is back, I'd have far fewer worries, but that's his bread and butter. And it wasn't, the results were really good last year, but when you stop getting swing and miss on a pitch, the next step is that you're going to start giving up hits. And it doesn't always happen at once, but he wasn't getting swing and miss on that pitch. And he did on last night, Saturday night. My days are all off. I can't remember what day was what anymore. But I thought he was excellent. He threw his cutter more than he had before. That I thought that was interesting. Look, if he wants to make me look like an idiot all year, I don't need the help, first of all, but I won't mind it at all.
Yeah. No. I mean, and this to me is we've all been, and we'll get to the offense here in a little bit. We are all optimistic that the offense is going to be better, but we had some pessimism about where the pitching was. And we kept talking, well, but if you have to go to Bergert or you have to go to Kolick, you've got other options that are down there. Cause there's kind of like, Wacha and Lugo aren't getting any younger. And I think we've all kind of had in our head that like, there's going to be some regression with those guys. Michael Wacha's still Michael Wacha, which this was a pretty good statement. And he is one of those guys. He's been around long enough that you can say, hey, he's just he's working on something. He's getting in the rhythm. And that appears to be what it is. Just a classic veteran spring training where he was not at all worried about the numbers. And when it came time to flip the switch, he flipped the switch.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it looked like. And the Braves have very good offense. That's a team. I mean, I think that they're probably going to have some. They look like the type of offense that will have some rough weeks here and there. But when they're on, and they weren't. I mean, they were hitting mistakes this week. They were okay.
Listen, the top of the lineup, Ronald Acuna is as good as anybody in baseball if he's healthy.
Yes.
Doug Baldwin is one of the best young catchers in baseball. He had 20 some odd home runs last year. Matt Olson. They are making $20 some odd million a year to play first base. Austin Riley's making $20 some odd million a year to play third base. Ozzie Albies can hit. Yastrzemski, we watched what he can do at least against right-handers here. Michael Harris was a very big prospect coming up. That lineup is not a joke. I mean, and he handled it well. He did, and so did Seth Lugo.
Seth Lugo did too. It's hard to. It's hard to be upset. And like I said, I think Lugo was more good than great. He only struck out 3. He didn't walk anybody, which if you watched, it was a start in Texas on last Tuesday, I think. He didn't get out of the first inning. He came back because it was still spring training rules, but he walked 3 guys in the third of an inning in that start and then came back and was much sharper. But control has been kind of a concern for him. He walked 4 guys in a couple different starts at the end of last year. He was good. I mean, he look, the wind helped him quite a bit. He kept the ball in the middle of the field. He got hit a little bit hard, but it's still, he got through 6 1/3 scoreless, turned it over to the bullpen, and the bullpen did their job. But I said it before. I think we agreed on this, that Lugo doesn't have to be great. He's got to be 180 innings, and he's got to be 180 innings of fine, and today was more than fine. Far more than fine. So if he's going to be this, things look. I wasn't worried about the rotation, but things look even better for the rotation if this is what these two are.
12 1/3 innings from those two, 8 hits, 1 walk, 12 Ks.
Yeah.
No runs. I mean, they're not going to have, I expect Michael Wacha to be like a 350 to 375 ERA. And,
sure.
Seth Lugo, I expect I could see 275, but I expect more like 3.3, but eating up innings. And that's what they did. They were both, very pitch efficient to where they were able to eat up innings, even here early in the year when they're still, building up. I'm 80 pitches for Wacha to go through 6.
Yeah. 77 for 6 1/3 for Lugo.
Yeah. I mean, they hit the ground running, and I think the bats are going to be there. Again, we'll talk more about the offense here in a minute, but when they hit, if they're going to pitch like this, they're going to be in good shape. Let's mention Cole Reagans. I mean, we didn't really have him on the rundown because I think we're all ready to just say, okay, well, tough day, but 10 base runners and 4 innings, 4 earned. Is there a level of concern there with Cole Reagans?
I mean, yes, because it's bad, right? But I thought it was interesting. Do you remember the start in Toronto 2 years ago when he fell off the mound and couldn't throw a strike after that? Yeah. Remember when he and he looked good the first couple batters, and it's 2 batters, I don't know, but he slipped off the mound and then struggled again. I think there are times I don't think he gets thrown off his game very easily, but I think losing his footing scares the what out of him. I thought it was interesting that in the start he was like 96 in the first inning and then had a lot of trouble locating his fastball. I'm going to watch the velocity. I think the velocity is a big deal with the Cole Reagans. My hope, and I'm going to call it my theory because my theory is a hope, is that he was having trouble locating, so he took something off it, which we've seen him do. We have seen him go purposely from 93 to 98 with his fastball because he locates it better at 93, and he knows that. But throwing it harder gets more swing and miss. I want to see what he does against. I guess it'll be Milwaukee, right, on next Sunday. So I'm watching that. I'm just wondering if it was the mound thing because we've seen it happen before where he couldn't get back on track.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do think that's an interesting,
so we'll see
angle on that.
But also real quick, what's really important is anything bad is an aberration and anything good is a sign of everything to come. So we need to keep that in mind after the first weekend.
Yeah, right. Because again, we're overreacting.
Yes.
To the first series. The good is great. The bad is awful. The ugly is the ugliest you've ever seen. What are your expectations for Bubic and Cameron?
I'm more optimistic about Bubic. Also, the Twins lineup is not especially great, so I think that'll help. I do wonder if we even see Noah Cameron because I don't know if you've looked at the forecast for this week, but tomorrow home opener looks phenomenal. Best weather I think we've had for home opener since I don't even know when. But there's a lot of rain. But I think I'm excited to see Chris Bubic. He looked pretty good in spring training. I'm curious to see Noah Cameron because he did not look so good in spring training. I have faith in both of them, but I'm more excited about Bubic. I do think it's interesting, and we don't have to talk about it right now because we didn't mention this, but it just popped in my head. The way they've put the rotation, where it's Reagans, Wacha, Lugo, Bubic, Cameron. You get to some series where it's 3 lefties, and I think that's really interesting because they're going to see 3 lefties in this series. I guess it won't be the Brewers. It'll be the Twins for Reagans on Thursday. I totally missed a series of baseball,
yeah.
But I wonder a little bit, and just putting this in your head, I think some of the reason why hitters struggle against lefties is because they don't see a lot of them. And when you see a lefty 3 days in a row, does that get you to a point as an offense where you're starting to see the lefty better by the second or third day? And so I'll be curious to see how that works out too.
Yeah, I would agree. By the way, I want to go back to you mentioned the weather. 90 degrees is the expectation for a high tomorrow, partly cloudy. 79 on Tuesday with rain coming in, 55% chance, then 96% chance on Wednesday, rain again over 90% on Thursday. Rainy week coming up. So we'll see if the
which will help the pitching too, by the way,
yes.
If they do play.
We'll see if they can dodge the raindrops and make it all happen because but it's that time of year. That's what happens this time of year. Yep. Everybody's looking to do the same thing.
Playing the Twins too, they don't have to get it in because they'll be back. So
right.
That plays a role too. I think we may be talking next Sunday about like 3 games or 4 games based on the weather. Well, the Brewers won't come back obviously, so they'll do everything they can for those. So maybe they'll get all 3 of those for sure. But I could see the last 2 games getting banged easily.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. But I am excited to see Chris Bubic. I want to see him unleash it, and let's see what he's got. And is he going to be healthy? Because I think he could be a real key. Like I said, we talked about it before. I would love to have seen Brendan Donovan in a Royals uniform and see the Royals get multiple years. There's only 2 years of control, I think, in him. But get another bat into the lineup, an everyday player would have been great. But without it and getting Starling Marte, but now having Bubic, it looks like he's going to pitch to the end. I think you are in a better situation. I think the ball club is better, right now because of having him. So I hope we get the best of Bubic. I hope we get one good, full 30 start season out of Chris Bubic, and it's slap him on the back and here, and maybe the Royals have the money and they give him the contract.
Could be.
I don't think so. As a small market team, I don't think you can be investing in a guy with the injury history he's had, but I would love to see him get 30 starts and just have a good run of it here for the Royals. And hopefully it starts with that beginning tomorrow. So, I've got him on my fantasy team too. 2-year contract.
Now the truth comes out. Come on, start with that. Lead with that.
He's been there. He's been on the team for a while, so it's nothing new. But I had to go get him back this year, and I did get him back. So I'm personally hoping for a big Chris Bubic run. We'll talk about the offense. Did we overestimate it a little bit again? Whole theme of the show: overreacting here to the first game of the Kansas City Royals. We're admitting we're overreacting. We know it's early. Settle down. We'll get into the Royals offense. We'll get into Carter Jensen. We're going to do that after you hear from our friends at Northland Injury Law. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait. Get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222. Or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. All right, let's talk about the offense. Shutout in the first game, couple of runs in the second game. We'll get to Carter Jensen overall, but I don't know, any buyer's remorse that maybe we got excited. Jeff Passan talking about it being a top 10 offense. Again, it's early. We're overreacting here, but do you have any fear whatsoever that they're going to come out of the gates slow? I mean, they were better in the second half last year. Any fear that, well, you know what, this is a team or an organization or their philosophy or their approach just sets them up for slow starts?
There's fear because we saw it happen last year.
Right.
Like it's not, the offense looked very similar to the first half last season in this first series. There are some reasons behind it, but they don't matter as far as a rational or irrational fear, whatever it is, because it looked, I mentioned to somebody, I said this, through the third inning, up until Jensen's homer earlier today, I was thinking this looks like game 165 of 2025 instead of game 3 of 2026. Like it just did. It's a lot of the same issues were plaguing them, a lot of all that stuff. At the same time, this goes against the theme of the show. But if you believed something on Friday morning, that your opinion's been changed by 3 out of 162 games, I don't think you can be taken too seriously. I mean, really, honestly, you shouldn't, unless there's big injuries or whatever. Like the other thing about the start of a season, and again, this is not, I wouldn't say this is an excuse. I would say that it's worth noting teams do damage against 4 and 5 starters. You don't face a 4 and 5 starter in the first 3 games of the season. And so they need to hit the 1, 2, and 3. They need to do better than they did this weekend, obviously. Now, the pitching was good enough that other than the 9th inning on Saturday, that they should have won 2 of 3 games, even without scoring. But I do. Let's give it a full turn of rotations before we get too worked up over it. I mean, I think that you look the facts that we laid out in our preview series, in our preview podcast, the big 4, adding Jensen, hopefully Caglianone coming around. India, he's looked terrible 2 games though. I don't know. Isaac Collins has looked bad, but both those guys could be OBP guys. Lane Thomas with the platoon, Charlie, all this stuff. Everything we laid out is still true. 3 days later, they've come out of the gate struggling. And so it puts this fear in your mind. And again, whether it's rational or irrational, and I think there's some rational to this, that, hey, here we go again. It feels like that sometimes, but it's 3 games.
How about this comment from Matt? What's not an overreaction is that Quintero should never bat Lane Thomas third, ever.
Matt, you're not going to like this. I kind of like the rationale there. And here's the point. Here's what what Matt Quintero said. And I hadn't thought about it this way. And I wouldn't bat Lane Thomas third either. But Lane Thomas legitimately hits lefties. This is not like, oh, he's okay against lefties. No, he's probably their third best hitter against lefties behind Garcia and Witt. So first of all, right there, he's the third best hitter against lefties. But I love the rationale of, hey, we want to get him as many at bats against the lefty. And then when the lineup turns over, you can flip it back. You can bring in Caglianone. You can bring in whoever was on the bench. I think that's really interesting that, look, Chris Sale is probably not going to face all 9 guys a third time, but he's probably going to face the first 3. So who's he facing? Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Lane Thomas, the 3 best hitters against lefties in this lineup. I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, I wouldn't have done it, but I understood it, and it was very interesting.
Well, I think, listen, there's analytics behind it, and it's not always just how their splits are against righty and lefty and how they have performed against a certain pitcher over the years. They get very, very in-depth, launch angle versus, the plane that the pitcher brings it in on. I mean, I don't – there's a reason for everything he does. Right now, if you keep doing it, Matt Quintero Lane Thomas never hits, then Matt Quintero needs to stop doing it.
Right.
Like that's the reality. He's in the get it right business, and he needs to get it right.
He also went 1 for 3 with a walk on Friday. So, I mean, I think he was the second best hitter on the team on Friday night, which doesn't say much, but
Well, I mean, and looking at the team right now, I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. he's fine. He hasn't exploded yet. Carter Jensen hit a home run today, so that power is there. I mean, I even like that Nick Lofton got a hit, scored a couple of runs in the game because I think he's going to have to play. They haven't really taken off yet, and like it's the first series. But I'm fine with whatever he wants to do till we get some sample size.
Yeah.
I am more excited to see Carter Jensen get the home run because I think it's kind of like Pat Mahomes in his first season. He played against the Broncos in the last year and he got a win, but you want him to get off to a good start. It's his job now. He has played all 3 games and they batted him up, I think 9th and 5th and 5th. I think the 3 times. And we know Randy on our bold and daring predictions, his prediction was that Carter Jensen would be batting leadoff for this team at some point during the course of the year. But I was very happy to see him hit the home run because I do think it's a little bit of like when Mahomes came out hot in the first game of the first year that he was the starter, is like all the pressure was gone. Like we saw how it built with Jack Caglianone last year. And I know this is not apples to apples because Carter Jensen got a taste of the big leagues last year. But this is the time that I know that they were kind of in a race when he came up, but they're definitely thinking that they're going to be in a race and they need him to produce. And so I was really happy to see the ball go over the wall and have that be, get that pressure away from him.
Yeah. Yeah. Any player you want to get zeros off the board as quickly as possible. And a home run's obviously the best way to do that. You get a hit, you get a run, you get a homer, you get an RBI, you get all of it. All these things the 0 becomes a 1 very quickly. I think you're right. I think it's really important that even though he had the success in September, that he has success in March and April. I texted you yesterday and I said, hey, before I forget, I think it's really interesting. They are showing a ton of faith in Jensen.
Yeah.
He hit again. First of all, he played against Chris Sale, which a lot of people were complaining about that lineup. Chris Sale is not any lefty. I will bet, and I might be wrong, but it looks like they're going to face Kyle Harrison against the Brewers when they come to town this next weekend. I bet the lefty lineup looks a little different than it did against Chris Sale. There's a difference between Chris Sale and
yes.
other random lefties. And I don't think people were giving that enough weight to be completely honest. And Jensen played against Chris Sale. That's crazy to me.
And there was a little bit of there were some complaints about Jack Caglianone and that he can hit lefties. And I'm with you. I mean, Chris Sale's as nasty as it gets. And so like the style, like we know that Jack Caglianone can struggle. He's not like the whole idea. I had people telling me like the 2 weeks he spent AAA, all they did was waste 2 weeks. He could have been in the big leagues. No. I mean, we saw that he was not ready. Okay.
Yeah.
So there is nothing. I want to be clear. There is nothing. There is no proof. And somebody said, well, I saw him in the minors get a couple of hits off Clayton Kershaw. This is the remains of Clayton Kershaw, the remnants of Clayton Kershaw. This is not Clayton Kershaw, the Cy Young winner. Okay. There is nothing that says that Jack Caglianone can handle all big league lefties, that he can handle Chris Sale. There is no body of work for that. Now, do we hope it? Yes. Is there reason to believe that at some point he will? Yes, he has the pedigree. He was a high draft pick. He's a mountain of a man. His bat is fast. There is reason to believe that, yes, one day he will do it. But there is no proof. Making declarative statements right now that he should be hitting against every lefty is wrong. It's wrong. I mean, you make a case that he shouldn't be hit. He shouldn't even be in the big leagues based upon how he hit last year.
That's what I was going to say. There's no case that he can hit anybody yet.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, and I'm not saying that he can't. He hasn't done it. I mean, there's no other way to put that. Who was it? It was Dylan Lee. I think he got a hit against. He doubled against Dylan Lee last night, and it was a slider that was hung, but he did something with it, which great. And Caglianone's gotten off to a really good start, but he hasn't proven that he can hit literally anybody. So I'm fine, especially too. We saw what happened. I mean, and people the organization has not been shy about this. The slow start got to him. Mm-hmm. They have not. They most of the time they would not admit to that, but he saw the numbers and he struggled and blah 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 all that. Let's put him in positions to succeed and let him get off to a fast start, and then maybe in July, maybe you put him in there against Framber Valdez when the Tigers are in town. I don't know if they play the Tigers in July, but maybe that's when you start to do it. But let's let him get some confidence, because we saw what happened when he lost confidence, and it was ugly.
Yeah, and going 2 for 3 in the second game, put his numbers in, and I think that's one of the things that you got to be cognizant of. When he looks up at the board, 286, 375, 429, he feels like a big leaguer. And when those numbers get down and you start getting to a point where it's like, I need 10 hits just to be, I think it's very important that they early on manage him very carefully.
Yeah.
Like manage him for mental success. I'm hoping that he's, the new hitting coaches and along with Alex Zumwalt have come together and they've got a great plan, and he's better equipped now, and he's watched tape and he's looked at, what he does well and what he doesn't. And he goes out there. But along the way, Matt Quatraro needs to manage him to be mentally confident. And so I am fine whenever he sits. When he sits, it will be for a reason.
Let me point out too, real quick, on Caglianone, 20% chase rate to start the year.
Yeah.
Pretty good. 2 games, but pretty good. I mean, that's what we've seen is I think it's 3 games. I think they've handled it exceptionally well. They've put him in positions to succeed. Easy for you to say. And he's done it. And he's done it in a way that we were hoping he would, which was being a little more selective. I feel like there's, we'll see. They're scheduled to face 3 righties against the Twins. He's going to play every day. They're 2 of 3 righties against the Brewers. I would bet he plays all 3 games, but I mean, Quatraro does want to get guys in there. So maybe he does take the opportunity against that lefty to give Marte a day or whoever. But I appreciate that he's continued what we saw in the WBC in spring training, at least to this point. And I think the Royals have handled it really well.
Yeah, I think so as well. And, I like Kyle Isbell batting 9. I like Nick Lofton batting 8 when he comes in and plays. I mean, like, I really like the way the lineup works right now. I like that Caglianone's not batting way up there, and you're saying you got to have pressure. But I mean, I'm very aware of the fact that Carter Jensen is.
Yeah.
And so that's why, again, I'll come back to the home run being important, because they are putting him in a run producing slot. And so when you see your name 5 and you see Salvi in front of you and you're going to come up and Bobby's going to be on base or Vinny's going to be on base and you're like, okay, I gotta hit the ball hard because this is what they're paying me to do. And so I think it's important that he not try to do more than he can.
Well, and it's not just that he's behind Salvi. He's in, think what you want about Jonathan India. I'm clearly not his biggest fan. He's a big leaguer. He's hitting in front of Jonathan India. He's hitting in front of the number 6 overall pick 2 years ago, who was the hottest prospect in baseball. He's hitting in front of a guy who had a 368 on base percentage last year. I mean, the guys behind him are what they are. There's some issues, but to put him in that spot, it's not just who's in front of him, but who's behind him that they think he's better than. Which I agree with them. I think they're right, but I do think it says a lot.
Yeah, no, I like everything I've seen so far. And by the way, Lane Thomas, if you put him in there and he fails, he's not going to wilt because he's not. He knows he's been around. He knows what he can do. Knows what his limitations are as well. And the Royals know what his limitations are. He's a platoon guy. But it's you're at least getting a veteran at bat, and that's when I look at it. I think Nick Lofton was one of my predictions for a breakout this year. Was that he was going to finally establish himself as a legit big leaguer. And I think if that happens, I mean, that's what we're all looking for. 9 professional hitters out there. That's what we think we've got. I still think we've got it, in this lineup that they're putting together. And so I think there's reason to believe that this team is going to hit a lot more. Vinny Pasquantino's numbers aren't great. It's fine. He had a couple of hits. It's 3 games, but I still feel very, very confident that they're going to be a top 10 offense.
Yeah, I feel good about him. I don't think that there's. Again, I just can't. I can't let 3 games cloud something. It just doesn't make sense to me. And if I thought it on Thursday, I think it today.
Yeah, and they are, one day away from being tied for first place.
Right.
It always looks
early
better.
Season is fun.
Yeah, it always looks better when you get there. All right, the City Connect uniforms have allegedly leaked out, which is something I think they're just like testing it. I think they do these things on purpose. The ones I saw are basically similar to the kind of the font, if you will, of the fountains of the lines coming down, but they're adding pink. Is that?
It's like the purple. It's the color of the Kansas City flag, right?
Is that what it is?
Is that what? I gotta look this up.
There's a Kansas City flag. I was not aware.
The KC Mo flag, and that's where the fountain thing came from. I thought I saw. Maybe it's not. Maybe I thought I saw that there was like a. I'm googling KC Mo flag purple, which throw everything off.
I didn't even know KC Mo. I didn't know cities had flags.
Oh yeah. Well, it looks like it's not. I don't know. I thought I saw somebody post a picture of the flag that was purple. I think that's what it's based on, though. I think it's based on the gradient from the color in that flag. You want to hear my theory? Because this is a doozy. It goes with the stadium. If you want to wait, I can get to it in a minute, or I can tell you right now.
Let's have it.
So I think because I think it's based on the flag. I'm pretty sure. I think what's going to happen is the Royals are going to come out and say, KC Mo today, KC Mo tomorrow, and announce a new stadium location. And it's going to be all, and the City Connects are they're going to connect. The timing probably won't work. Let's be real, but I think that would be a good ad campaign for what it's worth.
Listen, I had someone tell me that they really wanted to get the stadium announced before they went to spring training, but if they didn't, they really wanted it done before they came home.
Well, they have 12 hours.
Right? So that might be, I mean, I like your theory.
Yeah.
I do think Washington Square is the spot right now. I don't have it. Like, I had the information on the Chiefs. I don't have it definitive that that's where they're going. That's just what, as I read the landscape. So I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's pretty good. Pretty good little theory. Do you like the colors? Do you like what you're seeing?
Okay. There's a couple of things. I don't know. I think it would grow on me eventually. At first glance, I'm like, I don't love it. My issue, I wish if they're going to do a new uniform, I want it something totally different. It just seems like a variation on the current one, which, although I will say, I don't know if you remember, but last year, like Wacha and a few of the other guys were wearing the hat with the R on it.
Right.
And I wonder if that was by design that they were trying to push that out there. I like that hat. I got the powder blue one myself, actually.
I was like, when the City Connects came out, I was like, I don't like these, but at least they're not doing something stupid like Boston, like with a complete different
Right.
color. At least they're staying within the color scheme of what the Royals have done. And then over time, they grew on me. I grew to love them.
Yeah,
Like,
I do too.
got a jersey. I've got every hat they've put out with it. And I think it's fantastic. And so now I'm upset that they're going to jerk around with it. Like,
first of all, it's Nike, so they're going to make as much money as they can, and the only way you make money is to put new uniforms out there every 3 years. The Royals got a waiver; they were supposed to do this last year, but they got a waiver for a 4th year on the current City Connects because they liked him so much. I think there's a couple things I want to see. I want to see the hat. I want to see the pants. Are they going to wear cream colored pants with the same piping down the side? This is a Curtis conversation, by the way. He's going to be so upset when he didn't get to be a part of this. But I think if the pants fit the jersey well, I think I'll like it a lot more than I do now. And you see something enough, unless it's egregious, and I don't think this is egregious. I think you see something enough, and you eventually grow to love it, or at least like it. And I think that's what I'll
tolerate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Have you seen the Brewers leak?
No.
It's like I can't remember the colors, but it says Wisco for Wisconsin. So it's not it's now a state connect, apparently. Like, at least there's something to it. It's I don't know. This is better than some. What was there was one that I thought was really stupid that just leaked. I can't remember which team it was now. But this round of City Connects feels, I don't know. The Padres is okay. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's like navy and orange, which, whatever, it's fine. It's like their
They had 5 minutes where that was their team colors.
Right. I was gonna say the Ken Caminiti years.
Yeah.
That's the only player. Even though Tony Gwynn was there, Ken Caminiti is the only one I can picture in those uniforms.
Yeah.
For some reason. And Kevin Brown, I feel like. No, he was kind of the navy, wasn't, or the blue and cream. Anyway, doesn't matter. I feel like the City Connect round feels off entirely to everybody to me.
I hope they do it right. I'll say that.
Yeah.
They got a really fun team that I think is going to be really good, and I don't want it screwed up by them trotting out a bunch of uniforms. Everyone's like, these suck.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
I hope they end up working, and I hope they end up being a positive. What are we talking about a week from tonight? 6 games, 3 with the Twins, 3 with the Brewers, if they're not rained out. What do you think our topic? What do we predict our lead topic next Sunday?
I think they're going to score some runs this week. Let me take that back. If the weather doesn't stop everything, because you get these rainy days, even if they play, sometimes you get these sloppy 3-2 games that, I mean, I think about what was that game a couple of years ago that they rained out after 5, that it was 1-0 and you couldn't even see the ball. I think it was against the Blue Jays, maybe. It was Cole Reagan's only complete game of his career. It was a 5-inning complete game. But I think if they play in dry conditions for the week, I think they're going to score some runs, partially because they get some back of the rotation starters, partially because I've seen some patience. I've seen some better pitch count raising. I think we're going to see that. I'm excited to talk about what Cole Reagans does in his second start and what Bubic does in a couple of starts. I think those are going to be 2 big points for us.
No matter, we're going to get 2 Bubic starts, right? And we're going to get, Cole Reagans is either going to settle our fears or we're going to have great concern because he's come out of the gate slow. And he was off last year and then hit the shelf, right? Yeah. So if he has a second, I'll make this prediction. If he has a second rough start, we're going to be talking about what's wrong with Cole Reagans, right? I will make the prediction that we will be discussing if Estevez is done as the closer because Urseg is nailing it down.
I could see that. I think
if they go 4-2 and he picks up 3 more saves.
And that, I hate to bring up the weather all the time, but if there's weather, there's going to be close games. They're going to have save opportunities for sure. And if Urseg or Strom, I mean, if Strom gets one chance and Erceg gets 3 and they close out all 4, that's I don't think there's a controversy even. I think that's your closer or your closer duo or whatever.
Yeah, I would agree. So I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting. Well, we're gonna add 6 more games to it. We'll start getting a better feel for where they are. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm with you. I'm optimistic. It's a good week. At least 3-3, if not 4-2. My prediction would be it's a 4-2 week that they get it done, and onward and upward from there. So we'll see. Listen, you can always support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. They're hiring. They're looking for experienced asphalt and concrete paving foremen, operators, and laborers. If you're looking for a trusted company who offers top-of-the-market pay, company-provided insurance, PTO, and many more benefits, go to GannAsphalt.com/careers. Our friends at Whataburger, you can get the new Big Ranch Wrap for $3, 5 premium Whata chicken bites for $4, or a bacon cheese Whataburger Jr. for $5. It's only at Whataburger. Remember, they're open 24 hours a day and serve breakfast. This is important to me. From 11 p to 11 a. I love a late night breakfast, and Whataburger's got it for you. Take advantage of it. Greenlight Dispensary, 15 locations in Missouri. More on the way. Your go-to for all your cannabis needs is Greenlight. Make sure you tell them you heard about it right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. And, of course, Northland Injury Law. They've been helping Kansas City out. Folks in Kansas City who have been hurt in an accident for more than 40 years. Voted KC's #1 accident lawyers. Google 5-star rated. You've been hurt in an accident. Text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. For David Lesky, from Inside the Crown, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the call.